Go and stand in your garage for a second. You don't have to open the door. Just picture it. There is a car in there, or there used to be. Around the car, or where the car should be, there is everything else. A red can with old fuel in it. A wall of tools. 2 bicycles with flat tires. Boxes you have not opened since the day you moved in. Here is the strange part. You did not decide to put most of that there. It arrived. Nobody ever said yes to it. In Japan, almost none of it exists. Not because Japanese people are tidier by nature, because of something much simpler. Most Japanese homes have no garage at all. No basement either. No real attic. Wet ground, earthquakes, and the price of land all push the same way. So the house gets built without those rooms, which means there is no free space in a Japanese home where things can go and quietly stay. Every object has to earn a place in a room people actually walk through. Today, you get the 7 things a Japanese home never lets pile up, and by the end, you will see the one idea underneath all 7. A garage is the only room in a Western house with no job. A space with no job always fills up. Let's start with the most dangerous thing out there. Item 1. The red can of old fuel. Look at the corner where the fuel lives. A can for the mower, maybe a spare one for the generator, a propane tank left over from a barbecue 2 summers ago. Some of it has been standing there for years, in the heat, next to the wall of your house. In Japan, that corner does not exist, and the reason is a law most people outside Japan have never heard of. If you want to buy gasoline in a portable can in Japan, you have to show identification. You have to say what you plan to use it for. The station writes it down and keeps the record. That rule came from a terrible day. In July of 2019, a man bought 40 litres of gasoline in 2 portable cans and used it to set fire to an animation studio in Kyoto. 36 people died. Japan's fire agency changed the rules the following February. Now think about what a rule like that quietly does to a garage. Buying fuel to keep is no longer casual. It is a small formal act with your name attached to it. So people buy the fuel for the job in front of them, and then the can is empty again. Japanese homes do store one fuel, and the way they do it is worth seeing. In winter, many families heat one room at a time with kerosene heaters. The kerosene lives in a sealed plastic tank, usually 18 litres, usually bright red or blue. You will see them lined up outside doors all over the north of the country from November. And here is the part people love. In a lot of towns, you do not go and fetch it. A small truck comes through the neighbourhood playing a tune, the way an ice cream van does. Families leave their empty tanks out by the door before they go to work. The truck fills them, takes the money later, and moves on. A full tank runs somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500 yen. There is a small pump that goes with it, sitting in the tank, and filling the heater becomes an ordinary evening chore that somebody in the house does without thinking. So the fuel arrives in a known amount. It gets burned through the cold months. By spring, the tank is empty, rinsed and put away flat until November. The other fuel simply is not there. Japanese kitchens run on piped gas or on electricity, so there is no cylinder to swap, and no spare one waiting behind the door. And a garden the size of a Japanese garden does not need a machine with an engine in it. That is the difference in one picture. Their fuel has a season, your fuel has a corner. What you can do today is smaller than any law. Go and look at every container of fuel you own and ask one question about each one. What job is this for, and when is that job? If there is no answer, that container is not a supply. It is a slow risk sitting in a hot room. Most towns run a household hazardous waste day for exactly this, a few times a year, and it is free. Put the next one in your calendar now, then take everything that has no job. One can, one machine, bought when you need it. Item 2. The wall of tools you used once. Now look at the wall, or the shelf under the window, the tile saw, the pressure washer, the paint sprayer, the nail gun you bought for one deck, 11 years ago. Be honest about those machines. Most of them have done a single afternoon of work in their whole life, and every one of them is still being paid for, in space. Japanese homes do own tools, small ones, decent ones, kept in a box that slides under something. What they mostly do not own is the big machine for the rare job. And that is not because people there do not fix things. It is because Japan built a whole kind of shop around not needing to own them. They are called home centers. Enormous places, in every town, selling building materials and hardware and garden supplies. Anyone who has lived in Japan knows them well. And they do more than sell. The big chains rent power tools by the day. You take the machine home, do the job, bring it back. Then it goes back to being the shop's problem rather than yours. No storage, no charger to lose, no oil to change, no decision in 10 years about whether you still need it. Then there is the part that sounds invented the first time you hear it. Many home centers will lend you a small truck, for free. Buy something big and awkward, and they hand you the keys to a little flatbed truck at the service counter. 60 to 90 minutes at most chains. 2 hours at some. At several of them, the fuel is free too, and you are not asked to bring it back full. You drive your lumber or your new shelves home, you drive the truck back, and at no point in your life did you consider owning a truck. This is not one unusual store either. It is how the big chains work, the ones you find on the edge of any Japanese town, and several of them have run the truck service for years. Sit with that for a second. A big share of a Western garage exists to hold the machines and the vehicle you need for about 4 days a year. Japan looked at the same 4 days and put them in a shop, which means the home center is doing the job your garage is doing. It is the neighborhood's shared garage. One tile saw serves 1,000 families instead of 1,000 tile saws serving one job each. The swap here is easy and it saves real money. Before you buy any tool over $100, look up what it costs to rent one near you for a day. If you would rent it twice a year, renting wins, and it wins by a lot once you count the shelf. If you would use it 8 times a year, buy it, then buy a good one, and keep it where you can reach it. There is a second effect that nobody mentions. A rented tool has a return date on it, so the job actually gets done this weekend, instead of waiting for a spring that keeps not arriving. Item 3. The bicycles nobody rides. Almost every garage has them. 2 bikes, sometimes 5. Flat tires, orange chains. A seat at a height nobody in this house needs. One of them belonged to a child who is now taller than you are. Japan is a bicycle country. Far more people ride, far more often, and the everyday bike with the basket on the front is a fixture of every street. So you would expect the same slow pile-up. It does not happen, and the reason is one small piece of paperwork. When you buy a bicycle in Japan, it gets registered. It costs about 500 yen, a few dollars, and it is done at the shop while you wait. They take your identification. They stick an orange label with a number on the frame. Your name goes into a police database attached to that number. So a bicycle in Japan is not an anonymous object. It has a name on it. It has an address. That changes what happens when one gets neglected. Leave a bike parked where it should not be, near a station, say, and the city will take it away. Those areas are marked and the removal is quick. Then somebody reads the label, looks the number up, and posts you a polite card telling you where your bicycle is and what it costs to collect it. In one Tokyo ward, that is 2,000 yen. Think about how different that is from your garage. A bicycle in a garage can quietly stop belonging to anybody. It is not really yours, not really your son's, not really anybody's. Nobody is responsible, so nobody decides, so it stays. And a thing nobody decides about is exactly the kind of thing that is still there in 9 years. In Japan, every bicycle belongs to somebody by name, and things that belong to somebody by name get dealt with. There is a second thing pressing on it. Near a Japanese station, you usually pay to park a bicycle, by the day or by the month, in a proper bicycle lot. So an unused bike is not just taking space, it is either costing money or sitting somewhere it is not allowed to sit. The result is that families there tend to own 1 bicycle per person who actually rides, not 1 per person who used to. When a child grows out of theirs, it moves on quickly, often through one of the second-hand bicycle shops that exist in every town, because there is nowhere in that home for it to wait. Your move takes 10 minutes, and no money. Walk out there and put your hand on each bike. Ask who rides this one. Not who might ride it, who does. The ones with a rider get air in the tires and oil on the chain this week, because a working bike gets used and a nearly working bike does not. The ones with no rider go this month. A neighbour, a school, a charity, a shop that takes trade-ins. Somebody near you has a child who has just outgrown a smaller one. A bicycle nobody rides is not a bicycle. It is a shape taking up floor. If small ideas like this one make your week a little lighter, subscribe. There is a new set every week. Item 4. The boxes that moved out of the house. These are the ones with no label, or with a label in a marker that has faded to nothing. They came out of the spare room when the spare room got busy. They are in the garage, because the garage was the only place that said yes. Japanese families own things too, and sometimes more than the home holds. So what happens to the overflow? In a country with no garage, no basement, and no attic, they rent a room for it, and they pay for that room every single month, in money. Japan calls them trunk rooms. Small rented storage units, most of them in Tokyo and Osaka, which is exactly where homes are smallest. That business has grown every year for 16 years in a row. In 2025, it was worth around 85 billion yen, and the industry's own survey expects it to pass 100 billion within a couple of years. Now, you could read that as Japan quietly having the same problem you have. Look closer, because it is nearly the opposite. When storing something costs a visible amount every month, you find out what your indecision is worth. The bill arrives. The number is right there, and once or twice a year somebody in that family says out loud, "Are we still paying for this?" That sentence is the whole point. It is a question your garage never makes anybody ask. Your garage sends no bill. It is free, and free is exactly why it fills. So here is the swap, and it might be the most useful one in this video. Put a fake price on it. Take one wall, or one corner. Look up what a storage unit that size costs a month near where you live. It will be a real number, and it will probably surprise you. Write it on a piece of tape, and stick it on the wall above that corner. Now everything in that corner is renting from you at a real rate. The camping gear you use twice a summer is earning its rent easily. The 4 unopened boxes from a move 6 years ago are paying nothing at all and taking the most space of anything out there. You will not need a rule after that. You will not need to feel bad about it either. The number does the arguing for you. And be fair to yourself while you do it. Some of those boxes will pass the test easily. Tools you use, holiday things you love, the gear for the hobby you actually did last month. That is a corner earning its rent, and it should stay exactly where it is. The ones that fail are usually the same 3 every time. Papers from a job you left years ago, furniture from a room that no longer exists, and whatever came out of the house the last time a room got busy, which is the group with no label on it. Those failing corners are not costing you guilt. They are costing you a specific number of dollars a month, and now the number is written on the wall where everybody can read it. Item 5. The half bag of concrete and the paint that skinned over. Down at floor level are the leftovers. 3/4 of a bag of concrete, hard as a brick. 5 cans of paint with a skin across the top. Offcuts of wood you kept because they seemed too good to throw out. A coil of wire. A box of screws in the wrong size. Every one of those is the same object. It is the tail end of a job that finished years ago. Japanese homes keep very little of this, and there are 2 solid reasons. The first is disposal. Paint, solvent, glue, and concrete are not household trash in Japan. They do not go out in a bag on collection morning. They are handled separately, which often means a phone call and sometimes a fee. Now watch what that does to the shopping trip. When getting rid of a thing is a chore, you become very good at not buying too much of it. You buy the amount the job needs and no more, because the surplus was never free, it just charged you later. The second reason is the home centers again. They will cut wood to your measurements, right there, for a small charge a cut. You bring the sizes, they run the saw, you carry home the pieces you asked for. The same thinking runs right down to the small stuff. Screws and bolts are often sold loose in those shops, from open bins, so you can buy the 6 you need instead of a box of 200. 6 screws do not become a jar becomes a shelf. Notice what that quietly removes. The offcut, the awkward piece that is too big to bin and too good to bin, which is the exact object that starts a lumber pile in a Western garage. If the shop made the cut, it never came home with you. So, today, walk the floor and pick up every container of building material out there. Open the paint. If there is a skin on it, that can is finished, whatever it says on the label. Take a photo of the color name and the code first, because that is the only genuinely useful thing left inside it. Then look up your town's paint and chemical drop-off. The wood is simpler. Anything shorter than your forearm goes. You are never going to build the thing you were saving it for. And write yourself one line for next time. Buy for the job, not for the maybe. Measure first, and let somebody else make the cuts. Item 6. The decorations with no ending. The tubs. Christmas in 3 of them, then the fall decorations, then the string of lights where half the bulbs are dead. They live in the garage 11 months of the year and get carried inside for 1. Japan decorates for its new year, and it decorates with care. A small arrangement of pine and bamboo beside the door, a rope of twisted straw above it. They go up in the last days of December, and the whole street puts them up in the same week. Then, in the middle of January, something happens that has no real Western equal. People carry those decorations to a shrine, and the shrine burns them. It is a big open fire, usually in a cold field or a car park, most often somewhere between the 12th and the 18th of January. The neighbourhood comes out for it. The straw rope goes in. The pine goes in. In many places, people toast rice cakes over the embers afterwards and stand around in the smoke talking. So the decoration is not stored. It is finished. You are not going to burn your tree in a field, and nobody is suggesting it. But look at the machine underneath that custom, because the machine is the part you can copy. In Japan, those objects come with an ending built in. There is a date. It is on the calendar. Everybody knows it. And when the date arrives, there is no decision left to make, because the decision was made before the object was ever bought. There is a second thing worth noticing, and it is about what the decorations are made of. Straw, pine, bamboo, paper. They are not built to survive. They were made for 1 season, and everyone knew it, so letting them go costs nobody anything. Your decorations are made of plastic and wire, and they are built to outlive you. That sounds like better value. It is the reason the tubs exist. An object designed to last forever is an object nobody is ever allowed to finish with. Your decorations have a beginning and no ending. That is the entire reason there are 11 tubs. So give the season an end date, the way it already has a start date. On the day the decorations come down, they do not all go back in the tub. Anything that did not get used this year leaves. Anything with a bulb out leaves, unless you are fixing it that evening. Anything you unwrapped, looked at, and put straight back leaves too, because you already told yourself the truth about it, and you were not listening. 1 box per holiday, and the box is the judge. If it does not fit, it is not going back. Do it on the day you take them down, not in the summer. On that day, you can still remember which things you were genuinely glad to see, and which ones you only unwrapped out of habit. Item 7. The space itself. Here is the last one, and it is not an object at all. It is the room. In a lot of Western homes, the garage stopped being a place for a car years ago. The car lives outside in the weather. Inside, where the car should be, is everything we have just talked about. There is a number that explains why that would be unthinkable in a Japanese city. If you keep a car in central Tokyo, you rent the ground it stands on. Monthly parking across the 23 wards runs somewhere around 30 to 50,000 yen a month. Call it $200 to $300 every month for a rectangle of asphalt with nothing on it. Run that forward. At 40,000 yen a month, 20 years of parking comes to about 9.5 million yen. When ground costs that much, a parking space has exactly one job, and the job is the car. Nothing creeps into it, because everybody can see what the creep would cost. That is also why Japan has a whole style of house built around this problem, with the car brought inside the ground floor of the building itself. One architect there has designed more than 700 of them. Where a Japanese house does keep a car, very often there is no room around it at all. It is a roof on posts over a rectangle of concrete, open on the sides, with the car filling nearly all of it. There are no walls, so there are no shelves. There is no door, so nothing is hidden. A space like that physically cannot become a storage room, and nobody has to have the discipline for it. Your garage costs you too. It is part of the mortgage. It was built with real money. It is insured. It is heated or it is freezing. You simply never see a line item for it, so the space feels free. It is the most expensive free thing you own. And look at what it has bought. The car, which cost thousands and is designed to be sealed and dry, sits outside in the rain and the salt. The boxes, which are worth almost nothing, sleep indoors. Nobody chose that. It happened one object at a time. So here is the real swap, and it is this whole video in one move. Give the space a job, one job, out loud, in words, to the person you live with. It is where the car sleeps, or it is the workshop, or it is the bike and sports room. Pick one, say it, then put a line of tape on the floor around the part that belongs to that job. Nothing else crosses the tape. Not for a week, not while we decide, not just for now. A room with a job defends itself, because anything that does not belong is suddenly obvious to everyone. A room with no job is an inbox that nobody ever empties. So what does a Japanese home have instead of a garage? It is worth showing you, because it is the ending to all of this. Traditional Japanese houses had a space called a doma. It was a floor of packed earth, inside the house but down at ground level, where shoes stayed on. It was the working floor. It was where water and fire and mud were allowed to be, and where the tools came in. And it never turned into a junk room, for one reason that matters more than every rule in this video. You had to walk across it, every day, to get anywhere at all. The doma is coming back, by the way. Younger buyers in Japan have been asking for one again, partly because so many took up outdoor hobbies in recent years and wanted somewhere to put muddy gear that is not the living room. The modern ones are finished in concrete or tile instead of earth. People keep bicycles in them, and boots, and camping equipment, and a workbench. A modern doma holds almost exactly what a garage holds. It is different in one way only. It is on the way in. That is the whole secret, and it is not really about Japan. Nothing rots in a room you cross. Things rot in rooms you only enter in order to add something. Look back over the 7, and you will see the same shape every time. The fuel had a season. The tool had a return date. The bicycle had a name on it. The corner had a rent. The materials were bought to the measurement. The decorations had a day in January. The space had a job. Not one of those is willpower. Every one of them is a small ending, decided early, so that nobody has to be strong later. So if you take one thing from today, do not take the list. Take that. Tomorrow, walk into your garage through one door and out through the other. Do it a few times. You will find yourself moving the thing that is in the way, and then the thing behind that, and you will have started without ever deciding to start. Give the space a job. Cross it often. The rest looks after itself. Thank you for spending this time here. There is another one waiting for you, and I would be glad if you came back for it.